So, this is Norega. This is a game that's been causing me quite a bit of hassle in terms of recording for some odd reason. Honestly, this is a game that didn't really need this much time and effort into actually recording and making coverage of, but I decided to do it anyway regardless. Basically, this is my third time trying to cover this game. First time it was completely my fault. I forgot to record the game while recording audio, so had to go back and do it again. Ended up doing a full take of it. And then my video was deleted. It just disappeared from my hard drive, so unfortunately, I'll have to go through this all over again. But I hope this just is what it is. So, what is Norega? So Norega is a game developed by seemingly one person named Renan Migalot Viana. I really do apologize if I've butchered that name. Basically, this guy, based on his library, seems to only really do free idle games. So this one is really no exception. And this is basically what this is. This is a idle RPG game, which seems to have quite a neat hand-drawn art style, more likely from MS Paint. It kind of doesn't really look a lot like this. This seems more pixelated up close, but I'll get around to showing you that in a bit and talk a little bit more about the art style once we get into the game. In terms of idle games, as I assume, it'll probably be best to just disclose how I feel about them. I hate them. I think they're a really pointless genre when it comes down to games. It's a genre of games where it's essentially rewarding you for not playing it. And I really do not understand that. I really do not understand the point in playing a game that you can't play. It seems completely pointless to me. So, just want to put it out there, normally I really do not like idle games. In fact, I think they're quite an archaic form of games. They were really around when mobile games weren't like a big thing, you know, they weren't really well developed, there wasn't like a lot really to go for, and idle games were a very easy way to pass the time with mobile games. You know, it's something to put on in the background, have it run through every now and again, you check up on it, you make whatever upgrades you need, and so on and so forth. But I feel that over time, games have evolved more, especially on the mobile market, and I feel that idle games have kind of become more of a thing of the past, rather than something that's developed and adapted over time. But there is an exception for that, for it being on mobile. Mobile, you're generally playing games to pass the time, or just to you know, just use it recreationally. On PC, it's a completely different matter. On PC, you've got so much variety of games to waste time on. For example, I'm continuously playing One Finger Death Punch. I think that's just a great game to just literally pass the time. It's a lot of fun to just play, dick about on, play it for like 20 minutes and then go off and do whatever I want then. That's great. And I feel Norega is trying to do that. It's trying to be a game that you will literally just put on, you'll dick about with it if you're working, or if you're simply just wanting to just do something to pass the time before you do something else. For example, if you need to go out in like 20 minutes and you're like, I really want something to pass the time, maybe you can pop on something at Norega. But how does it exactly play? Well, first of all, I feel that as it is a PC game, I do feel it's always important to look at the options menu. Before we do proceed though, there's already an issue that you probably may have already noticed. I know it really bugs me and I've noticed it a lot. There's this little black line here and a little black line here. What it seems like is that the text is overlaid on top of the button in of itself, but it hasn't been properly done so, thus we've ended up with these black lines. These plague throughout the whole game. There are so many instances of this. It can get quite annoying. It's really distracting to look at, and I do wish the developer, if they do get around to it, to actually fix this. I mean, for one thing, it's annoying. Another thing, it does look really unprofessional. It does look like you haven't put a lot of the time into something like this, and I think this is something that really does need to be fixed. And in regards to the options, as you can see here, it is completely worthless. It's the most bare bones options menu I have ever seen. However, the game is pretty bare bones enough as it is, so I think it's, you know, you can kind of make an exception here. There's only this full screen option. Bear in mind that if you did want to play this game on full screen, every time you actually close the game and reboot it, This doesn't save. It will always default to windowed, so just keep that in mind. There's also then a mute if you want to turn off the music, and then there's just these 4 volume buttons just to be, you know, just to lower it. That's really about it. There's nothing much more to it, to be honest with you. So yeah, lackluster options menu there. So we go over to the save slots. So right now, even though it's not really displaying it, this is actually my current save. It's in slot 1. However, as I said, it doesn't change. It just remains a slot 1. It doesn't actually let me know that, hey, you've got a game going on here. It doesn't give you, I don't know, like a progression, like, oh, you're 22% through the game or something like that, or just saying, you know, game being played. Something like that should be here to replace the slot. I generally, when I booted this game up a second time, because I played this quite a fair bit yesterday, and I played it this morning, and as I said, I did do a recording, so I played a little bit more during the recordings. But yesterday, when I booted this back up for a second time, I legitimately thought that my game was deleted. I thought it was gone. Only to then, when I clicked on it, then realize, oh, the game's still here. So that's a bit annoying. So I do wish that you do something here to change it to reflect that, hey, look, yes, you have got a game here. And what was also annoying as well was that I wasn't paying attention this morning when I was booting this up, because what I wanted to do before recording, I wanted to play some of it just to get a refresher of the game and then go into it. So I pressed new game and I accidentally clicked this slot, because again, it doesn't tell you that it's, you know, this is being used. So I just naturally just clicked this, and then I just realized, oh shit, I've lost my game. Thankfully, I wasn't very far into the game anyway, and it doesn't seem like this will be a game that'll take up a huge amount of your time, so it wasn't like that big of a deal, but I just thought I'd just point it out anyway. So anyways, we'll go into continue, we'll click on slot 1 and we'll load it in. So, this is the hub world for the game. This is where you're going to be spending your time in terms of upgrading your character in order to fight monsters. So what I'll do is, I'll go through these buildings and everything, I'll show you what it has to offer and all things like that. And then we'll go into the actual gameplay, which is the gate share. This is how you get access to the actual battle. So first we go over to home. This is your character here. His name is Kurt. This is what he looks like. And you've got some general stats. So you've got your attack stat, which is your physical damage, your life, which is your HP, your defense, which is your extra bonuses of getting hit and taking less damage. Wisdom is related to XP gain and magic. Gain is in regards to your loot, the amount of loot you can get, and greed is the amount of money you can get. Pretty simple stuff. You have a leveling system here. My character's coming level 8, to see more black lines, happy days. And every time you level up, you get more TP, and you get to choose here what you want to upgrade. To be honest with you, I've literally just been focusing on attack. It just feels like the best option, really. Life, you'll get that upgraded passively. Defense is something that's a little bit difficult to upgrade, so maybe go there every now and then. And wisdom as well is also a little bit difficult to upgrade, so I may start focusing on that as well to up my magic damage. But you know, for the most part, attack was mainly the thing that I was going for. We also have an inventory screen here. Basically, all this is just telling you how much loot you've got from your adventures. So I've got like 2 different colored leaves and 2 different colored gems. And then in regards about my armor, so here I've got level 2 hands because I've upgraded that bit, but I haven't upgraded everything else. And there's the current sword that I'm using. So we go over to the lab, and we got our first instance of a proper player model that you can see here. See, I like this. I think it's really charming. It reminds me a lot of old Flash games, you know, going on Newsgrounds. Hell, I remember a site when I was younger in school, I think it was called Friv, where you got to play like all those free Flash games. It just, when I booted this up, for me, I just got a bit of nostalgia for all shit like that, just booting up, finding some random free-to-play games and just seeing like some crudely hand-drawn stuff, like assets like this, you know, like basically yeah, everything here is basically hand-drawn, so it's kind of nice. Although I can completely understand if somebody booted this up, looked at it and thought, oh my god, this is terrible, I'm actually just not going to play it. But for me, I like it. I think it's charming. So we go over to the alchemy here. So here are these potions, and each one will buff its relative stat, basically. So here, this will buff my HP, this will buff my attack, my wisdom, my greed, and my gain. And how this works is you need a certain amount of these leaves and gold in order to craft them. So, for example, I've only got 2 blue leaves here, so I can't upgrade this yet because I need 11 of them in order to craft it. And these will just get automatically updated with your stats. There's nothing really much to it. You craft it. If I craft the attack now, I will get more attack, which maybe I'll show you once I go into a bit of a fight. Or you can also sell them, but I've seen no point in selling them at the current moment. You go over to the jewel shop here. You can buy jewels here. It will give you wisdom, greed, or gain. Again, these ones don't actually require anything. These are just flat out gold, so you can just buy them and they'll just give you base stats for that. In terms of crafting, you've got gem cutting here, which actually needs something. So gems, so for example, I can craft here. So actually this might be a good time to actually show it. So before I do that, let's have a look. What is my current attack? My attack is at 22. Okay. And then if I go over to crafting, if I go over to socketing, which I'll explain in a little bit, my attack currently is 18. Okay. So I go to the jeweler, I go on crafting, go gem cutting, I'll craft this. So this will just take a bit to craft. I have no idea why it does this. It just seems a little bit of a waste of time, but you know, is what it is, I guess. So this will get crafted. I'll now have one of these. Now, one thing that I think is a bit weird, and I don't really understand it, is that unlike everything else in this game, once you purchase it, it will automatically get updated with your stats. If I purchase this ring right now, my greed is going to get buffed immediately. That happens with everything in this game. For some reason, when you do gem cutting, it doesn't get automatically added on. You have to go over to socketing, click socket all, and now it's just buffed my attack by 1. And then if I go over to here, to home, there we go. I've just bumped it up by 1, so now I've got 23 attack. That's basically what I mean with just like passive gains when you press on. But yeah, for some reason, instead of just automatically adding it, you would go over here, press socket all, and then it gets added. To be honest, this seems like a complete waste. Like this seems pointless. Why can't it just be the case that I craft this and then it just got automatically added? Why do I have to also then go over here and then press this extra button to get it added when nothing else in this game needs that? This just seems like a complete waste of time. I have no idea why that's there. Basically, you can remove this and that won't change anything there for you. In terms of the smithing, this is where you'll go for your weapons and armor, as well as mining to get materials. So if I collect all that. And how these work is, these materials are relative to the level that you're currently at. So I'm on level 2 out of 5, so I'm only able to mine this. Once I move over to level 3, I'll be able to start mining this. And how this works then, with those bars, if I go over to smithing, you go over to recipes. First of all, you'll be able to buy better stuff. So for example, I can purchase a longsword if I so desire for 400 gold. Head over to the weapons. So what these are, basically these are all flat upgrades. Like this sword here that I currently don't have will be objectively better than this sword. And these are all just get better and better as you go up. There is nothing to it. There's no thinking involved. There's no like, ooh, I can get the Empiricus, which will give me certain stats, but then I can also get the Cutlang, which will give me another certain stats. No, it's just, yeah, I've got the Cutlang. I now need to get the Longinus? I have no idea how to say that, to be honest with you. But yeah, these are just, there's nothing really to these. And as you can see here, the materials are required in order to get said weapons, and they're color-coded relative to what you need. So there's that. Unfortunately, I'm not able to craft this weapon because I need this green, limey material. But I can't get that until I get to the 3rd area, so oh well. You can also go to your armor, where you can just select it, and then as long as you've got the right amount of gold and the right amount of materials, you can upgrade your armor. Which is, yeah, that's about it. So we go over to this next area now. Go over to the halls. You can learn new skills, which is just flat out attack with defense, which I currently can't do because I don't have enough of this blue stuff. I have no idea what this is meant to be. Is it meant to be a book? I have no idea. But either way, I don't have enough of the resources here, so I can't actually do anything here for it. Oops. And then head over to the office scene. I have no idea what that means. And you can sharpen stuff here. And again, this is just HP and defense buff. Nothing you need here, just flat out gold. So yeah, so there's a mixture of that here, where some require materials that you'll acquire through looting. while others will just flat out be gold. So just simply what I tend to do is I just look at the stuff that need the resources, upgrade them, and then whatever money I have left over, I'll just purchase what needs purchasing without materials. So for example, I'll buy the gain here, and then I'll also buy the greed. Something I do quite like, which is just something quite minor, is that you can stack buy. So if I wanted 3 of these, I can click buy 3 times, and the buying will still continue up, and just do it once. It doesn't do it 3 times, so you're not waiting continuously, which is something I just like. I know it's just such a small thing, but I just thought, that's, yeah, it is a good enough feature. And yeah, that's really it. It's here is mainly focused on just upgrading your character. Now, this game is mainly a free-to-play game. However, there is DLC involved. As you can see here, these 2 buildings are completely locked off for me, as well as these 2 buildings here that both are asking for DLC. As far as I'm concerned, the DLC is £5. However, I have absolutely no idea what these buildings do, because I'm not interested in purchasing £5 for these, and I don't really see why these need to be purchased, because basically these buildings basically do everything you need anyways. So these are what you need to just get through the game, and I don't know what these will add to you, unless they just help make you more overpowered quicker, I guess. But yeah, doesn't seem very good there. Now, if you do ever get confused with this, one thing I will also compliment on is the hint system. It's very well detailed. It's very good at explaining everything. You know, anything that I was confused on, or anything that I thought didn't make much sense, I can literally just go over here, go to the hints, and it gave me a good explanation of how everything works. So I was perfectly fine with that, and I did like the hints were relative to whatever building they were in. So for example, hints here will only talk about the alchemy, but if I go over here, it talks about the hub world, it talks about the buildings, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so that's the hub world. Not really much more to it there. What we'll do now is I'll show you the actual gameplay of it. So if we head over to the gates. So this is the world in of itself. So each of these areas are different levels. Currently level 1 and level 2 are the 2 that I can actually fight right now. At level 3 I actually get my ass kicked, because basically if you're under-leveled, you are going to die almost immediately. For example, I started off here and I thought to straight away go to the 2nd level. I basically got one-shotted, and that was it. I couldn't do anything else then, so I had to keep upgrading my character until I can move on to here. And that's your goal of the game. You keep upgrading your character, get them stronger, build up their attack, build up their life and defense, and so on and so on, until you are able then to go to the next level and kill the enemy without getting one-shotted yourself. And the purposes of that is with these drops. So you've got the leaf and the gem, which I showed earlier in the hub world. The different colors correspond to different stats. So for example here, these 2 correspond to upgrading my attack, these 2 correspond to upgrading my life, these 2 correspond with wisdom, and then these will be greed and gain. So if you're looking at really pushing some stats to be upgraded, you're going to want to go into the world that's relative to the stats in question. So we'll show you the actual gameplay now. We head over here. So this is how it looks. Bear in mind, every area has 1 new enemy. So in this area, I'm only going to be fighting this guy. There is no difference in this area for this guy at all. I have no idea what's going on there. Is that an error or... Oh, is that meant to be his leg? Okay, right, that's meant to be his leg. Okay, I'm getting confused there. And it's also quite weird, like he's kind of not... I wouldn't say he's quite centered, and then he's just slightly off to the right. It's a really weird way of displaying it, but I guess because they wanted to put this up here, for example. So here's essentially the main mechanics of the fighting. So you've got attack, which does physical attack, magic, which will do magic damage, focus is a one-time crit move, which will do a shit ton of damage at the beginning. Bleed is a relatively pointless button. I've had 0 reason to ever use bleed, so I've almost never selected it. I don't really know why that's there. There may be some deep mechanic that bleed could be, but to be honest with you, I think it's just completely worthless. And then you've got this thing with weakness. Now, this confused me at first, because yesterday, the weakness, how it worked, if it said weak magic, that at the time meant that magic was weak against it, so you would want to use physical. And if it said weak physical, you want to use magic. Now with the recent update that came out yesterday, when it says weak magic, it actually means that his weakness is magic. It was a little bit confusing, but now I understand. So it's a nice, easy way of determining, okay, this is what I need to use. So let's use a focus attack. I basically always use a focus attack regardless of what the weakness is, because this does a shit ton of damage regardless of what it is. Like there. Its weakness is magic, which means she's more resistant to physical, but my focus just basically almost killed him. And I will for the magic, which is... yeah, it's like a little snot ball that he just flings out and then it dies. So when the enemy does die, all you do then is you open up this chest, it provides you some loot, you click loot all, and that's it. That's my loot. And then I click replay, and then we do it again. It's now weak to physical, which means this will potentially be a one-shot. And it is. Open that up, and loot. And it's just rinse and repeat. Just doing this. With the obvious goal of trying to get... You mainly want to be getting the leaves and the gems and this book thing in order to upgrade your stats even further. Now this is, as I said, like a somewhat of a idle game. And there you go, here's an idle mode. And that's it, that's really all there is to it. However, you've noticed that it actually takes longer to get items, because herbs and gems go up in decimals. So it actually is a slower process to get those items. It's a little bit quicker to get gold, I guess, but yeah, in terms of the actual items, it takes way longer. So there is no reason for you to click idle here. Also, just to quickly note that bear in mind that every single one of these has black lines. But yeah, there's no reason to click idle here unless you are simply planning on putting this in the background and just letting it play out while you go off, because your rate of earning things is completely low. Like there, it bumped up by like what, 1 when I did that. So if I just throw this magic snort, there we go, he's dead. Yeah, the loot we just gained was way more than when we get idle. So there's no point in going to the idle mode unless you are fully planning on literally just putting this in the background and just going off and doing whatever, which I assume is what the developer is hoping for here. I just love this animation, it's just so goofy. Just throw a snowball. As you can see, there's very minimal animation of when they attack. You know, there's no reaction at all to it, and you don't even see the death animation. It just cuts to the treasure chest. There's really nothing to it. And then once you feel like you've got enough, you exit, you go back to the hub world, and then it's rinse and repeat. You go over to alchemy. All right, I've got enough, so now I can upgrade my attack. We'll get turn from that. You can look at the jewels. You know, okay, cool, I've got enough for that, so now I can upgrade my attack even further. Happy days. But then I also need to go over to socketing, so then I can socket that. And then, I don't know, go to the holes maybe. Yeah, I can bump up my defense now because of that's all in that. Cool. Yeah, and this is literally it. Oh yeah, one thing to also note with the bank. So the idea with the bank here is that you can withdraw, you can deposit all your money. And as you can see here, for every 20 battles, you will get 0.5% increase in the profit. It feels completely worthless. 20 battles for 0.5 seems almost completely, like, I rarely see a bump in the money when I deposit it. And honestly, this feature is just completely worthless to you. You might as well just keep the money and just keep spending and keep saving. I honestly see no point in it, especially if it's 20 battles. Maybe if it was less, maybe if it was for every 5 or 10 battles to go up by 0.5, maybe it might be worth it. But for every 20 battles, yeah, now we're talking about a grind more than like something like Hearthstone in terms of how long it takes just to get 10 gold. So no thanks. However, there is a little funny thing I did find with this. So you can choose between 100% and 50% in terms of what you want to deposit. So if I deposit in 50%, like so, you'll notice now I've just pressed deposit and that didn't go down. This doesn't go past 1. For some reason it stays at 1 and it doesn't go to 0. But watch when I click deposit all again. Did you see it just went up And I just keep doing this. If I really wanted to, I could spend all day just clicking deposit all and just keep bumping up my money. Now it's a little bit annoying because you've got to double click deposit all in order to get it up. But look, I can get this up to 500 just by doing this. Like, I could really abuse this thing. It's a bit ridiculous that you can do that. It's, you know, it's not entirely broken because, again, it takes ages to try and get it up. Because, look, I'll even show you now that it will definitely be 500. If I withdraw, I now have 501. I've just given myself profit without doing anything. Just by clicking deposit all, I've just given myself a profit, you know. It's just a bit ridiculous. Like, so it's not fully well developed, considering how small it is, but, you know, there's a certain amount of leeway you can give a game like this. It's a one-man development, it's a free-to-play game, it's a relatively harmless game. And something else to point out as well is in regards to its cutscenes. There's not really any, there's no, as I said, there's no dialogue in terms of voice acting or anything like that, it's just text. Now, before, you couldn't skip the text dialogue, you had to keep clicking next in order to get through it. But thankfully, within this recent update, you can actually now skip the text. The issue that I have with the text is, first of all, it's slow. It takes ages for the text to pop up. Secondly, based on the guy's name, I'm going to assume English is not his first language. There's a lot of both grammatically and punctual grammatical errors throughout the text. It's very noticeable. It can be a bit distracting. Again, I think it's just a little bit charming, but I can see how people can be a bit annoyed by it. I did see with Steam reviews for this game, people are really going in on this game, and I really don't see why. For me, it's a completely inoffensive game. There's not a lot to it. It's very mechanically bare bones. It is what an idle gaming normally is. Again, if you're looking for something to just throw on in the background, or you just want something real quick to play, this could be a game for you if you're interested in stuff like this, if you're interested in old Flash games, if you don't mind idle games so much, if you like the idea of upgrading your character so they're so powerful that they can just one-shot enemies, sure, why not? Again, I don't think it's really anything to really massively complain about. Yes, it has a lot of issues. It's not the most well-made game, but it's inoffensive. Also, I want to bear in mind, you actually can't go back to the main menu here. You actually can only close the game. In order to get back to the main menu, there is no main menu option. If I press escape, nothing. You can only close the game to go back to the main menu, so that definitely needs to be fixed. If you want, you should have like a main menu option around here. Also, let's real quick, let's see if I can actually get through this guy now I've upgraded my stuff. So he's weak to magic, we'll still do a focus attack. Yeah, I got a lot of health this one. Oh, my snot. I didn't do a lot of damage, did it? I wasn't doing a lot of damage at all. No, I can't be in. What I want to do is, I'm going to show you the cutscene. I just want to show you how the cutscene plays out before I end the video. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to edit this part. So we go back to the main menu. Okay, so we're back in the main menu now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go on New Game. I'm going to go on the second slot. I'm going to show you how exactly like the dialogue and stuff plays out. I just thought just to show you that before we go anywhere. So it tries to do like a Star Wars type text scroll thing. It tries to come up with a story. Honestly, the story is completely pointless. Again, it's an idle game. A story you're not going to give a shit. But I understand it's just trying to build up some sort of world just to get in there. It's just to build up a setting for it. I'm showing this bit because I believe there is a few... Yeah, like after 5 years the Great Evils returned and took William's life as a revenge. What does that even mean? Departed to Norega to revenge William. He really likes the word revenge, doesn't he? But he's not using it in the right context. Well, could be the next hero. Fantastic name for a character, by the way. Oh yeah, and by the way, how most cutscenes start will always be this. Kerr will always walk like that. And that crouch animation is, I believe, like one of the only new animations that they do with them. For the most part, it's just a walk cycle. But yeah, this is how the text plays out. It's super damn slow. You can see there's still black lines about. And this is really it. As I said, thankfully he did add a skip button for it, which is great, but you know. And then it's just talking about them having a dream. I'm just wondering if anything shows up or I can demonstrate. Come continent. Ah well. It may not pop up for quite a while. But anyway, that has been Norega. As I said, it's a free-to-play game that you can just pick up on Steam if you want to. You can check it out or not. It's completely up to you. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.